Hey there, I'm Akon. And recently I just went to a Brown concert and I spent half the time dancing along, singing, doing what I do as a fan, and spent the other half of the time jotting down notes on my phone, observing things. All for the purpose of this video. So I bring to you now 7 things that happen at Brown or Desi concerts. Number 1, nobody listens. When it comes to anything with brown people that has nothing to do with academics and has anything to do with listening, paying attention, or doing things that you're supposed to do, we suck at listening. Whether it's at weddings, whether it's at parties, or functions, fundraisers, whatever the occasion, you put us in it, and we don't follow directions.
We're doing number low. Yeah, we like to call ourselves A1.
They'll be making 10 announcements like, hey everybody, please do this, because if you don't do it this way, then we're gonna have problems. Does anybody listen? No. All what continues to happen is we do just barely enough for the show to go on and then go back to our shitty ways. The second that the show continues, everyone's linking arms, getting themselves back in, pushing people, not caring who they're shoving, creating links, girls creating actual links to pull through, acknowledging absolutely no one. That's worse when it's guys, because they don't realize that their average height is taller than the average girl height. Now I'm 5'8", so this doesn't affect me, but all my short little friends, all those tiny little midgets, are stuck looking behind people through shoulders, like through the small little creeps that they can see. Yeah, I see everything perfect. Don't be that asshole. All you have to do is when you see a tiny girl, just say, hey, it's okay if you could stand next to me or in front of me, but no. All my little girlfriends are blocked by the vision of the back of your head, which by the way is ridiculous, as you make your way to the front and almost get the show closed down. I put this in these things because that's another point I'm gonna make. The show's never actually gonna close. And eventually they'll just give up. When it comes to tickets, what tickets? We just go where we want to. We bought a ticket? Okay, well we'll stand wherever we want to. Who's gonna stop us? I paid for this. This is the cheapest ticket here, but I want the best seat. I'm guilty, I get it. So all those poor people who paid the most amount of money for those best seats, I'm sorry. Why'd you pay? It's your fault. Which brings me to my next point. Number 2, the slip-throughs. By slip-throughs, I mean that because it's brown people preparing the concert, and brown people are friends with brown people, and brown people are just gonna continue to be brown people, what ends up happening is that you have so many like, hey, yeah, you my boy, you my girl, yeah, you can come through, don't worry, I got you. I'm not saying this isn't great, because I mean, hey, it benefits everyone. But eventually what ends up happening is that everyone has a connection, and they end up being all messed up. For all those meet and greets, I'm sure half those people paid for it. Half those people knew someone. And then maybe that tiny little percent got through some way other how a friend opened a back door and they slipped through. At this point, all the white people and all the rest of the people who are not brown look at this concert and they think it's an absolute mess. They're getting angry like, what kind of concert is this? There are people not understanding the connection. Like people explain like, oh no, you can let them through. And they're like, no, we're not. We have specific orders. This is our job. And then they're like, oh no, but I know him. All right, this is how these things work. And it just ends up being so awkward, for them at least. And speaking of awkward, it brings me to my next concept, the low stages. Now, typically in brown or Desi concerts in America, you have to have an accumulated amount of brown people in a certain area in order to execute a certain concert. In order to do that, you have to have a lot of people willing to buy tickets. In order to make sure that happens, you also have to buy a mediocre sized arena or venue. What ends up happening when you do this is that the venue ends up being a tiny bit smaller and the stage ends up being a little bit lower. You have these stages that come up to about here, and my arm span is about there, which means that my arm is probably about to touch your no-nos, which probably means I'm gonna have to pretend like I have a shorter arm, which probably means that I'm probably gonna be swinging my arm like, yeah, love you, yeah. And then you have the other people who decide to completely invade their space and go, I'm touching your no-nos, I'ma touch your no-nos. And these brown artists are like, yeah, I gotta pretend to be professional, stuff like that. And those same people that are touching the no-nos bring me to my next point. The fangirls and the keep cool guys. The fangirls at these events are usually wow. So then the performer tries to be all sexy and he's all like, whew, yeah. one last layer, right? And the guys, they love these singers too, but they don't want to be those guys. So they're like this awkward stance of, yeah, bro, dog, cool voice. Pretty fresh. He mad cool. Speaking of these men, it comes to the even more awkward types of guys when these guys actually come up in suits, thinking that they're gonna just be great. It's all gonna work out great. As if we're not going to a concert with a lot of people smushed in one small space together with one goal to scream and have fun. Just, you know, wearing a suit is the best idea. That I'm not gonna sweat under here. I'm not gonna ruin my best clothes or anything. Like, what are you doing? Hey boy, sup, you like my suit? Pretty fly. It's not about to happen. Don't need to wear all that. Just be cute. I have to stop and get the rest of my script. My phone died. I think that if my calculations are right, this brings us to our last point. The awkward bungra guy. This guy has a hard time realizing that there is an entire place full of people. Everyone is trying to jam out. Everyone's trying to have a good time, and all we can do is synchronize and an occasional, which isn't even an actual jumping of our feet, it's more of like a propping up of our heels so that if we jump up, we don't want to be assholes that hit other people's feet. All of a sudden starts going, pushing people out the way. Not purposely, through his bungra moves. Slapping every girl, every guy's face. Almost starting a riot amongst guys. Do you not know that brown guys are hot-headed? Don't you already know this? If you're gonna push him, you might as well expect to have an entire fight. And if something does just not happen by chance, you're still being an asshole to everyone around you. Man, you are bigger than us! Is that something that feminists could get me for? Hope not. I hope this offended no one, and I hope this is all in good heart. If you enjoyed or related, feel free / I encourage you to share. Subscribe to my YouTube channel here, youtube.com/acon, facebook.com/acon here, Instagram, Vine, everything else is acon, spelled exactly how it is here. Also, I'd like to thank everyone who's been supporting me so far. I reached a few milestones. I hit about over 100 people on my like page on Facebook and a little over 50 on YouTube. And I think I'll take my end here. I'm Acon, and I love your chick.